Sierra Leone is last of 10, facing a lot of traffic to deal with onto the far turn. Boot to Cachet has made the top clear, leads at a length. Against the rail, Diddy a second by ahead. Caitlin, Her Greatness, the leader. Caitlin, Her Greatness leads at a length and a half as they go to the far turn, oversubscribed. His second a half length. She feels pretty, third to the inside, pounces a wide fourth to the turn. War Campaign draws within a half length of the lead. Now matching strides, Kings Barnes moves up behind him on the outside. Epic Ride swings wide, just a touch between horses. Dornock has to shift lanes along with Sierra Leone. Boot to Cachet still has the lead. Didia, English Rose toward the inside. She feels pretty, has the lead in the final furlong. Kings Barnes in front. Final furlong of the Ben Ally Stakes. Boot to Cachet, 25-1 upset under Frankie Dettori. Sierra Leone comes forward for the lead in deep stretch and wins the Toyota Bluegrass. She feels pretty, a dominating performance.
And a good Friday evening, everyone. Welcome into the Keeneland Look Ahead podcast. Jeremy Plonk here from Horse Player Now and Keeneland.com. Great to be along with you over this holiday weekend. Easter blessings to all over the weekend. No live racing here Sunday at Keeneland. So tomorrow, Saturday's card that we preview here for April 19th will be the final weekend offering of the 2025 spring meet, believe it or not. We've got 3 days of racing remaining after Saturday. They will be Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday next week before the action shifts to Churchill Downs. A little bit of news out of Churchill Downs tomorrow morning before we get going at Keeneland. Big workout for the Toyota Bluegrass winner, Burnham Square. He's one of many Kentucky Derby contenders scheduled to work tomorrow under the Twin Spires. Be sure to check that out, and we'll try to give you a little review next week on what we thought of the works for some of these key horses going towards the Kentucky Derby. Grande, the Wood Memorial runner-up for Todd Pletcher, he's going to train at Keeneland. I believe arrived at Keeneland today to begin his preparations. So Todd Pletcher going to train at Keeneland, get a work over the track next Friday, I believe, 8 days out from the Kentucky Derby, to train Grande at Keeneland, not train at Churchill Downs. Interestingly enough, he'll head there on the deadline to arrive and before entry date for the Derby. But Grande over to Keeneland to train towards the Derby. Big story as we go to day 12 on the card tomorrow. Not only two major stakes races for you as co-features on the card, but now an $82,000 plus carryover in the pick six. Nobody took down the pick six today because Jin blew it up at 38-1 in the Double Dog Dare Stakes. Nobody had that longest shot on the board on the pick six. So we got to the last race on the card today, and the pick six was already guaranteed to be a carryover. $82,328.91 in the carryover pool going in to the program. So with an 11 race card, the pick six will start on race number 6. Let's give you a look at how the wagering lineup will line up tomorrow for an 11 race card at Keeneland. Early pick 5 starts in the opener as usual. Early pick 4 in race number 2. That $82,000 plus carryover pick 6, a $1 minimum here at Keeneland, will be races 6 through 11. Keeneland Turf Pick 3 will be on the 7th, 9th, and 11th races on the card. We've got a late pick 4. We've got the 2 stakes races, the Elkhorn for the Turf Marathoners, the Ben Ally for the handicap division on the main track, and no carryover in the Toyota Super High 5 going into the final race on the card. We'll talk plenty more about each one of these races individually, but want to set you up with the big news of the day, the carryover for the pick 6 going in to day 12. Now, as for our quick Friday recap of the action, we mentioned Jin, upset winner of the Double Dog Dare Stakes. Boy, just nobody saw that one coming. 3, 4 really good gambling options in that race that all had excellent experience at Keeneland. But it was Jin for trainer Brendan Walsh, who's just been absolutely on fire at the meet. Jose Ortiz, the winning rider there. This is the 4th winner at the meet to be 35-1 or more, and the 6th winner to pay $50 plus on a $2 win mutual. Jin, big upset today. No question about it. You want to follow Brendan Walsh in his hot streak? He's got horses Saturday in races 4, 7, 9, and 10. I have 2 of them picked on top to give you a little hint, and maybe I'll end up going with all 4 of them the way the Walsh Barn's going right now. Jose Ortiz had 2 wins on the day, including the stakes race. The big jockey performance of the day went to Luis Saez, who won the finale, to make it a 3-bagger for him. As for trainer or another jockey, but a good day, Gerardo Corrales picked up a couple wins today on the program. Wesley Ward had another victory. He's continued to be on a roll here so far this week. I think he's got 4 wins on the week right now for Wesley Ward. Bad day in the handicapping corner here, no doubt about that. 1 for 10 for me, caught a short price winner. Unfortunately, a couple big prices ran second again. It's been that way over the last 2 days. We've had a couple of our key plays of the day and horses at big prices, double-digit odds, and just kind of come up just a bit short. We missed by about 3/4 of a length in the turf sprint with the Rosario coming from off the pace at a big number, 20-1 in the morning line. I think closed at 11. And we just came up just a tad short in that one. Speaking of jockeys and the importance of what we've got going on this Saturday card here at Keeneland for the 19th, Irad Ortiz, Flavian Pratt, and Luis Saez, the guy who rode 3 winners today, all on the road Saturday. The top 3 jockeys in the standings will not be riding at Keeneland on Saturday. So it should be a big day for Jose Ortiz. You would think Joel Rosario, John Velasquez, guys who might have really big days. But I think Jose Ortiz is set to have a monster day perhaps on Saturday. Pratt, Saez, Irad, they're all headed to Oaklawn because the $1.25 million, $1,250,000 Oaklawn handicap is Saturday. So they're going there to ride for the big money. All right, let's get handicapping on this Saturday card without further ado. 11 races. And again, I want to remind you, in the other 11 race cards we had on Bluegrass Day and Lexington Day, there was a middle pick 4 added. There is no middle pick 4 on this particular wagering format for Saturday. So no middle pick 4 this Saturday, but the 11 race card, as we mentioned, lines up with the pick 5 starting in race number 1. And again, that big carryover pick 6 will start in race number 6, be the final 6 races on the card, as it typically is. Okay, let's go to the handicapping selections. You can get these downloaded for free. Print them out if you like at Keeneland.com, the Handicappers Consensus. Tom Leach, hats off today. He hit his big long shot. Boss Lady Bailey, I believe, paid somewhere in the $40 area or maybe even a little bit more. Tom had a big payoff there with Boss Lady Bailey today as his long shot play on the card. He's starting off with My Bossy Lady right away. So Tom's going with the bosses over 2 days in a row. I've also got My Bossy Lady in the opener. So I hope to ride Tom's coattails. He's handicapping really well. Always practical in here. Second choice for me. Top choice for Gabby and Kim. And Scott's going to the 2 in here, Delicante. So I've got it 3, 5, and 4 in the opener. Talking about race number 1. $30,000 claimers here, 6 furlong distance. The fairgrounds horses typically have been pretty strong in these races over the years. When you talk about mid-level claimers, 25, 50,000 in that range. The fairgrounds horses have really been pretty good here at Keeneland over the years. My Bossy Lady comes out of a 20,000 race at fairgrounds. Should fit well here. Can sit a little bit. There looks to be some pace. The 1, Bella Vittoria, the 2, Delicate, both want to come barreling out of there. So we might have a speed duel. If you could sit 3rd in this race, you might be in a really good spot, or even 4th, because the 6 Digital Sale wants to go to the front too. Good spot if you can sit and be a little patient. I thought the 5, Always Practical, has never run on the dirt, but one to consider by Practical Joke. Osiris got really good numbers here at Keeneland on the main track. So, and this is a horse who can sit and pounce. So 3 and 5 to me, the most logical winners to come from just a little bit off the pace. Top choice in here, My Bossy Lady, 3-1 on Nick Tamaro's morning line. So that's the way we're going. In race number 1, we'll take the 3, My Bossy Lady, to get us started. If you are playing an early pick 5 or pick 4, or a early pick 5, pick 4 doesn't start to the next race. But if you are playing an early pick 5, I would definitely go 3, 5 in here. You could stretch and go 3 deep with the 4, Lila Renee. This is a horse who's already won twice and taken on a lot of horses who are still non-winners of 2 lifetimes. So 3, 5, and 4 if you want to get to 3 deep here in the opening race. Let's go to the second, and in this race, you probably don't need to get very deep. Crudo is going to be a strong favorite in here for the 5 handicappers. Pick this runner on top for Todd Pletcher. 4-5 on Nick's morning line. This horse was 4-5 in the career debut. Broke a little tardy, rushed up, and then faded. This is a very similar profile to a horse we hit at a short price here that was well bet yesterday. Really looked very similar to that runner. Again, the debut, your bet, everybody expects you to run well. The start doesn't go right. You waste everything mid-race, and then you're left empty. Crudo looks like the kind of horse that comes back and wins second start. We're not telling you anything here. 4-5 in the morning line, but I think this is in a 6-horse field. a pretty rather trustworthy runner. In race number 2, we are going to start the early pick 4. It could be a single right off the bat for most players. Also a situation where the second leg of the pick 5 is here, and this is probably going to be a leg where a lot of folks single. 6 horse in here, Homer's Odyssey, a little bit interesting to me in here because of the running lines. Homer's Odyssey is going to be the top choice for Gabby. My second pick in here, Homer's Odyssey hasn't run since the fall meet here at Keeneland. Made the lead that day going 7/8 of a mile. Ended up tired to run 5th, but the winner in that race, Built, is headed towards perhaps the Kentucky Derby, as is the runner-up, Rendered Judgment. Built right now is number 20 on the list, actually 18th among the American horses in terms of getting in on the point system for the Derby. Rendered Judgment, I believe, needs one more defection, I believe, behind Neo Equus right now. So would need 2 defections to get into the Kentucky Derby. But both Built and Rendered Judgment have been stakes experienced and horses who have been on the trail this year. Homer's Odyssey coming back in maiden company, of course, off that race in the fall. Steve Asmussen's had a pretty decent run in recent days with a couple horses who have run well. His overall meet numbers aren't anything special, but he's had a couple horses run pretty well here in recent days. So Homer's Odyssey, the other one to consider in here. We did have a couple really short price favorites beat today. I mean, not only beaten, but there was a 1-5 shot that I think ran last or next to last right off the bat, right? Tunisian's Sunrise in the opening race today, really bad favorite. There was another really low priced 3-5 type that finished off the board, didn't get in the money. So look, they're not top-end putts, right? They're still living, breathing animals, and they've got to go out and run. So even if everybody's on the same thought process that the 4 Crudos got to win this race, the horses have the answers, right? We have the questions, the horses have the answers. That's what D. Wayne Lucas was famous for saying to the press many years ago, and he's right about that. Crudo should win race number 2, though. And again, this is one where John Velasquez could be primed for having a pretty good day with a lot of those other big-name jockeys out of town on Saturday. Let's go down to race number 3, Starter Allowance Company in this one, third race on the card. Won't start any of the exotic wagers in this race, but the Starter Allowance race goes to 1.1 1/8 distance. And I didn't mark my key plays on the graphic. Shame on me, but this is my first key play of the day. Race number 3, I'm going to go in here with number 1, Ember. Trainer Joe Sharp has an impeccable record in 1 1/8 races here at Keeneland over the years. Todd Pletcher's had more 1 1/8 wins on the dirt. There's only 1 or 2 others who have had more. He's got 7, 8 of them, and he wins at about 33%, 34% in 1 1/8 races at Keeneland. He knows which horses to bring here and to run long. Owner, trainer in this situation, Joe Sharp. He's had a winner, I believe, each of the last 2 days here at Keeneland. I like number 1, Ember, in here as one of my key plays. Really well placed. And this horse ran here at Keeneland at 1 1/16 back in October. Second beat in the neck to Gilmore. That was a pretty good race. Hasn't been back to Keeneland since, but you know we can handle the racetrack. Ember gets Frankie Dettori aboard. I think they're going to be forwardly placed in this spot at 1 1/8. And in these 1 1/8 races, you don't want to be coming from out of the clouds because usually the pace isn't as strong as it is in a 1 1/16 race. And you want to kind of be up into the mix. Ember's running style is to be within 2-3 lengths of the front. Utilize that rail, keep the position. I like the 1 in here, Ember, quite a bit. Race number 3, my first key play of the day, 8-1 in the morning line. So I've got it 1, 2, and 9 here in race number 3. And again, my first of 3 key plays. Let's see what the other handicappers have in store for us in race number 3. Ember is also the top choice in here for Gabby. So are we going to get 8-1 with Gabby and I both going in on this Joe Sharp training? Maybe not. Maybe we'll get 5 or 6-1, but that seems like a more than fair price to me. I'd be okay with that, but we want as big a number as we can get. The 4, Executive Action, top choice in here for Kim and Scott. And Tom's going in here with the 9, Copyright, a horse I have third. 1, 2, 9, the way I see it, though, we'll go with the 1 in here, Ember, Joe Sharp, and we'll try to get yet another 1 1/8 winner here for that Sharp Barn. Big win percentage. I think it's she's 8 for 23, I believe it is, something like that, just a tad over 33% in those races. So really good numbers for Sharp in these 1 1/8 races. He could have a big start to the day, right? I mean, Joe Sharp, I believe we got him on top in the opener, right? My Bossy Ladies, Joe Sharp for Jose Ortiz. Sharp could win 2 of the first 3 on the card if we've got it lined up right here on the Saturday program. To the 4th we go, and it'll be the third leg of the early pick 4. It'll be the fourth leg of the early pick 5, but no new wagers. Again, there is not a middle pick 4 scheduled for this Saturday, as there have been in the other 11 race cards that we've had throughout the meet. 7-horse field here on the turf at a 1 3/16 allowance company. The turf pick 3 will be later on the card. We've got more than 3 turf races. It's always on the final 3 turf races offered. Number 1 in here, Jalila is going to be my top choice, and we might get a fair price. 8-1 in the morning line. Jalila doesn't get a lot of mentions around the way. Gabby's got that one third. Good Temper, top choice for Gabby and for Tom. Calamate is top choice in here. The Calamate, the 2, is top choice in here for Scott. And Fixin' to Be, the 7-horse, who's my second choice, is picked on top by Kim. So I've got the 1 in here, Jalila. I like this post position flop. This horse last time at Gulfstream Park was in the 9 out of 9. The other time on the turf, the 12 out of 12. It's had the far outside post in 2 turf races, got beat 2 lengths down at Gulfstream and Maiden Company, then broke its maiden on the synthetic, then back on the turf, got beat 2 lengths again when hung out to dry with fast fractions last time. Jalila gets to save all the ground this time under the Juan Machado. Gustavo Delgado, good trainer, of course. We know him from Mage winning the Kentucky Derby a couple of years ago. Horse who's had trouble lines, has had bad post positions. Now you get the inside and a small field size, right? I mean, in a 7-horse field on the turf, stay out of trouble. I mean, if we can stay out of trouble, this horse might be able to pop in here. Jalila, very nice price, 8-1 in the morning line. El Jory, the 5, you have to respect. This is a horse for Brendan Walsh. Again, Walsh's barn, 2 winners today, including the big bomber in the stakes race at $70-some mutual, $79 payoff on Gin Gin. He's winning with everything he sends out, or running really well with everything he sends out. Walsh with 2 on the card on Friday. He's had a tremendous meet, teaming here with Jose Ortiz. Ortiz could have a huge day. A lot of respect in here for number 5, El Jory. And the 7, Fixin' to Be, I think, is a horse who's run well over the course. A winner here from Gulfstream. You want to play these Gulfstream horses in the turf route allowances at Keeneland. They just have statistically such a bigger historical edge than the horses from other circuits. And here you've got the 1 Jalila, the 5 El Jory, and the 7 Fixin' to Be. Those 3 to me have the run of the race, all from Gulfstream Park in this 7-horse field. I would have made the 1 Jalila one of my key plays of the day, but I've got too much respect for the 5 and the 7 in here to think that this is a single situation. I would go 3 deep at the multi-race wagers, but when you're playing intra-race, you want to get the value, and Jalila, the 1, is probably going to be the value in here. Again, none of the other handicappers taking this 8-1 shot anywhere in their exacta. Just one handicapper, Gabby, putting the horse third. So I think we're going to get the price we want here, which means you've got to attack. You've got to get in and you got to bet this horse to win. I would also work in exactas boxes, 1-5, 1-7. I didn't take the 6 in here, Good Temper. I had this horse as a need the lead type, and I'm not so sure over a 1 3/16 this horse wants to run that far. Out of a City Zip, collected who's by City Zip. The blame on the dam side could certainly get you some distance, but I'm not so sure looking at the running lines, 116 and change, 115 and change, that this horse's kind of front-running style hasn't been flattered by some really slow paces. Need the lead type in here. I think the 5 El Jory is going to push this one early, so I tossed the 6 Good Temper. Also, Joel Rosario riding. Not necessarily a fit for a horse who's going to the front. Rosario better on the patient closing types. I've probably talked the 6 into the winner's circle by mentioning why I don't like this runner, but I'm going heavily in here. 1-7, 1-5. This is the way I really want to attack this race. Box those exactas, key box as they call it. 1 with the 7-5 is the way I'm going to try to approach here in race number 4. Good gambling race, even though it's just a field of 7, because we have a horse we've got a decent opinion on, and definitely a lot of respect for the 7 and the 5 in here as well. Let's turn our attention now to race number 5 on this 11-race card. 5th race will wrap up the early pick 4 and the early pick 5. It's a non-winners of 2 lifetime claimer. In these kind of races, a lot of times I'm trying to find the horse who has the best maiden win on paper. And for number 7, Top Gun Rocket, there's a maiden special weight showing up at Churchill Downs. And for the 6, Colorado Cruiser, a maiden special weight at Santa Anita. I think the 7 and the 6 have the 2 best maiden wins in this race, and I'm going to take those 2 on top. in here in the 5th race. Top Gun Rocket, also the top choice for Scott. Colorado Cruiser, top choice for Gabby and Kim. You see a lot of 7-6 exacta boxes here, right? Tom's going with the 9 Zavi in here, going against the grain, but he's got the 6-7 right underneath. So 6-7, the way to look at this one. The 9 Zavi coming off the win. Claim last time out at Turfway by Ralph Martinez. Used to be a big high percentage barn. Doesn't win at the same rate that he once did. But Zavi comes off a victory last out for trainer Darren Miller. Has been claimed away, and we'll see how this one handles the main track. Has run okay on the main once at Churchill, run second in a maiden 30. Non-winners at 2 lifetime, but only 1 for 15 at Turfway. The 9s up. 6 and 7 look like they kind of have the run of this race to me. I like the 7 best on top with Top Gun Rocket for Riley Mott, who's had a pretty good meet. But 9 to 5 in the morning line. 10 horse field in here. I think the 7 and 6 are probably part of it. But I don't have a lot of trust in this race, and I don't think we're going to get a good price. As much as I like the 3rd race on the card to bet, as much as I like the 4th race on the card to bet, I don't like this race to bet. I just want to get through it in the multi-race wagers with the 7 or the 6 and try to get through the pick 4 or 5 that way. So I'll go too deep in here, and I'm going to skip this race, intra-race. I don't have a lot of love for it. And the ones that I did end up with, I don't think we're going to get, anything exciting in terms of the prices. So race number 5, not a big betting race for me at all. We're just going to try to hopefully be alive to 2 horses to close out the pick 4 and the pick 5 and try to get it home with the 7 and the 6. All right, now it's time for that big carryover pick 6. We're going to start with race number 6 on the card. 6 through 11, the pick 6 races here on Saturday with a carryover of $82,328.91. If you hit it, you won't need the change, but hopefully you get a good payout. Now, just talking about this pick 6 from a big picture standpoint, we have 2 stakes races in the pick 6. In fact, let's go ahead and give you the snapshot of the card. We've got 2 turf races in the 3 turf races in this pick 6. 7, 9, and 11 are on the grass. We've got 2 stakes races as part of that. And we also have a race where we're going to have, I think, one of the strongest favorites of the meet in race number 8 with Just a Touch. So if you're looking to play this pick 6, if Just a Touch wins race number 8, it's going to be essentially a pick 5 for most intents and purposes with a lot of handicappers. There are going to be a ton of singles with Just a Touch. If you are looking to take down this pick 6, you're probably going to use Just a Touch as a single for a lot of people on smaller size tickets, even medium-sized budgets. If you're looking for a life-changing score in this race, start now and try to figure out how you're going to beat Just a Touch in race number 8, if it's possible. I've got him picked on top. We'll talk about it when we get to race number 8. But from a strategy standpoint, if you're trying to take down one of these pick 6s that pays you several $100,000 and try to scoop the pool or hit one with only a couple people hitting it, and you're trying to hit for 6 figures, you're going to try to beat Just a Touch in this particular pick 6 because he is the kind of favorite that if he clicks in there, he automatically brings the price of this pick 6 way down. Hey, nobody's going to sneeze if you hit a pick 6 and it pays $10,000, $12,000. People will be very excited to hit that, and it's a great hit, a career score for a lot of horse players. But if you're trying to buy a new house or something like that, you're not going to do it with Just a Touch winning likely. So if you're trying to go for the big one in here and you're trying to really connect on something, see if you can't beat that one in race number 8. But we got to get through the first leg before we even talk about that. So let's try to see what we come up with here in race number 6. 6th race is a tough race for me. I've got Tough to Trust Any with an underline written at the top of my past performances. Just a 6-horse field, but I'm not wild about any of these particular runners here in race number 6. And as I look at my fellow handicappers, I think it's tough to trust any in here. The 1, the 2, the 4, the 5, and the 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 all have a top choice. Nobody picked Lugan Knight on top, and that's my horse that I've got picked second in here. So every horse in the 6-horse field is either a top choice or my second pick. That's the kind of race. As a public handicapper, we have to give 1, 2, 3s. I don't know who's going to run well in this race. I really, really don't. I ended up settling on the 2 Cat on Time, and I'll make the case for him in this. He gets a decent post position in the 2 hole. He's not stuck down on the rail. He doesn't have a lot of speed, but he's going to try to come from the back in a race where there's a little bit of pace in here. And the fact that there's a lot of horses with droughts in here is kind of why I went with him. He's won twice in his last 5 starts. He's got 2 seconds. So in his last 5 starts, the 2 Cat on Time. The last race was terrible, but prior to that, 2 wins, 2 seconds in his last 5. He's got decent recent form. The other horses in here, kind of a lot of them, horses that have won one of their last 10 or 12, and kind of drought horses. Two Eagles River, Lugan Knight, Gilcrease hasn't been one who's won very often. Honky Tonk Highway, the 3 has won recently, and maybe one that we want to definitely keep an eye on in here, but he's been kind of flat late in his races. Also, the pace is a little quirky in this race. I'm not exactly sure who goes to the front in here. Lugan Knight, maybe the front, maybe Honky Tonk Highway gets hustled along here. The 2's coming out of longer races. I typically don't like that at 6.5 furlongs, but there's not a ton of speed in this race of like pure sprint blazers. So if Jose Ortiz is aggressive and gets the 2 out and stays close with these horses, maybe the route to the turnback will actually work for him in here. I don't like this race, folks. This is a deep race. And when you're talking about a pick 6, this, I hate to say it, but it feels like an all to use all 6 of them in the pick 6. Let's see what we like in some of the other races as we talk through this and try to pare things down a little bit more. But 2, 5, and 4 are the ones I've got most likely as my first 3 in this spot. I think the 3's potential speed in here, who may go all the way on the front end. If I had to throw any of them out of here, it might be the 6 Gilcrease and go with the other 5. But if you're in 5 deep, to go 6 deep, it basically brings the cost of your ticket up, I believe, about like 16%. So it raises the cost of your ticket, but not by a massive, massive amount to go from 5 to 6. Let's go through the rest of these races because I do not have a strong feel at all for race number 6. You know, when I like a race, I tell you so. And when I don't, I tell you that as well. And race number 6 is a very difficult race to figure out. I just don't trust any of them in that spot. Jose's riding good, and with all the other big riders out of town and a smaller field size, maybe that's enough to get the deuce over the top. Let's go now to race number 7 next up. The Keeneland Turf Pick 3 starts in this race. It'll also kick off the late Pick 5 on the final 5 races on the card. Now we've got a horse that we like. This is our one of our second key plays of the day, and we're going to single in here on number 3, Cloud Walker. Excellent post. You know I love the 3, 4, 5 and the power posts in these full field turf sprints. We just missed today with our long shot play in the turf sprint, but Cloud Walkers, Jose Ortiz, Brendan Walsh, they're doing everything right. A horse who's run 3 times over the turf here at Keeneland in sprints, 2 wins and a 3rd place finish. Beautiful post position, red hot connections, and a hot pace in here to set up for this horse's late kick. You got Band on the Run, who's fast. You've got Girl on My Dreams, who's fast. You got Pipsy and Julia's Dreams, who's fast. Miss Arlington, fast from the outside. There is a ton of speed in this race. It sets up for the 3, Cloud Walker, and the 9, Ouvre. I'll be surprised if it's not one of those 2 getting to the winner's circle. And if Joel Rosario is able to take Pipsy back, this horse has closed in the past, but recently has been showing a little bit more speed in more recent starts. Hasn't run since last fall. Pipsy's the other one in here. 3, 9, and 7, the way I really feel confident about this race, and as you look across the way, there's a lot of love in there for the 3, 9, and 7. The 10, Be My Sunshine, a pick in here for Tom Leach. Coming out of route races for Safi Joseph. Tom's looking for the closer in here as well, because this one's been going nothing but long and coming from off the pace. I think we're all in a kind of some sort of agreement in this race that it is a very hot pace in race number 7, and this turf sprint looks like it will come back. I love Cloud Walker in here. I think this horse is a single. 6-1 in the morning line. I do not anticipate getting 6-1. Just flat out, do not think we're going to get 6-1. The way Brendan Walsh's horses are running right now, Jose Ortiz, by the time we get to the 7th on the card, Jose may already have 2 or 3. I think the 3, Cloud Walker, is going to get bet, but I think this is a key play of the day. And for me, a single in the pick 6. So I'm going in on the 3. I could definitely see using Ouvre if you were going to go too deep in this race. Pipsy's one of those that you get the 3 now, and now you're starting to look at this race where you're not as narrow on it, and you're starting to get the 3 deep, and then you're going to have to narrow other places. I would rather just go knuckle down here with number 3, Cloud Walker, as my top choice in here. And if we get it, we get it. Now, maybe in the pick 6, you go that way. And in the pick 5 with just a 50-cent ticket, you could play some backup tickets that you use Pipsy and use the 9 Ouvre in here in the pick 5. So if we look at the strategy here, looking at the snapshot of the card, if you are playing a pick 6 ticket, you want to try to narrow somewhere. The first leg is not going to be a place to narrow. At least for me, it can't be. So in race number 7, I can narrow it down in here with a horse I really like in Cloud Walker. But I do think there are other good options. The 5 and the 7, or the 7 and the 9 are also good options in this race. So maybe I take my pick 5 and I start off here and I use a couple of those other horses in the pick 5, or in a Keeneland Turf pick 3 situation. situation. Maybe I don't single in the turf pick 3, but I do single in the pick 6, and I can use some of those other horses there. That way, if they do happen to win and run well and Cloud Walker gets beat, I'm alive to some pretty decent numbers, maybe with those others, Pipsy and Ouvre, in the turf pick 3 or in the pick 5. But one of my key plays of the day, number 3, Cloud Walker in race number 7. Okay, 8th race on the card next up, and it will kick off the late pick 4 here in race number 8 on an 11-race card. This is the big favorite, I think, that the pick 6 really hinges on in terms of how much the pick 6 could potentially pay out. 6-5 on the morning line for number 5, Just a Touch. And Just a Touch is going to be an absolute standout here in race number 8. The 5-horse Just a Touch coming off a massive effort last time out down at the fairgrounds. Won by 10.5 lengths at 1-5 odds. Got a 102 buyer. You remember this horse last year, Just a Touch, for running a really good second-place finish behind the champion, eventual champion Sierra Leone, when this horse was leading pretty much and battling all the way in the Toyota Bluegrass last year. So we know Just a Touch likes the track. We know the 1.125 distance is doable, and he is coming off an absolute smasher of an effort. He is going to be really tough to beat in this spot. If you can beat him, though, this is where you get the huge payoff. Today, the pick 6 kind of carried because of one long shot, but this is the kind of horse who can, if he gets beat, can turn the pick 6 completely on its head. He gets beat and maybe another favorite gets beat somewhere along the way in this sequence. You could be looking at a 2-day carryover going to next week when the Wednesday racing card resumes. So Just a Touch is very, very important to pick 6 players in here. On top for all 4 handicappers except Gabby, she's going with the 9 Skinner in here. Skinner, kind of one of the logical horses underneath. I've got that runner a pick 3rd, 5, 6, and 9 for me in this particular spot. I think you go with the 6 Stretch Ride and the 9 Skinner. If you're trying to beat Just a Touch, if you're going for the gusto in this particular spot, I think you take the 6 and the 9, and that kind of gives you, the 5's going to be speed in here. Just a Touch is going to be right up on the pace. So if that horse wins and he gets up with a front trip, you're not going to beat him on the front end. But Stretch Ride can sit and maybe get that first over trip. And then Skinner is going to be coming from the back of the pack. So I always tell you, you want divergent running styles if you're going to go too deep in a particular race in a sequence, because if the race sets up for one, it would set up for both. If the race doesn't set up for either one of them, they're neither going to get there. So in this particular case, if you're going to try to beat Just a Touch, who's speed, take the presser, stalker, Stretch Ride, and the deep closer Skinner. And then if he comes back, you got the first overshot to get him. And if it all falls apart, Skinner maybe comes and gets all of them in there. To me, if you're really going for a big boxcar payoff in the pick 6, you will take the 6 and the 9 in here and toss the 5. Just a Touch. That is the aggressive approach to this. You're hoping Just a Touch bounces. Look, this is a horse who's only run 6 times now midway through the 4-year-old season. So can this horse pair up really big efforts back to back? We haven't seen it, right? He's after his career debut, he came to the Gotham. He was a heavy favorite in that. He got beat in the Gotham. So this is his 2nd career victory. Will he come back as strong? I think he's the most logical winner in the race. But the gutsy play in here for me, for sure, is to take the 6 and 9. If you want to take Just a Touch in the pick 5 and try to hit a smaller pick 5 ticket and single him, maybe that's a way to go. But if you want to play a pick 6 ticket and you say, look, I just want to cash and maybe I'm going to spend $40, $60, $100 and go after the pick 6, then there's nothing wrong with hitting some prices around Just a Touch and getting yourself like a $2,000-$3,000 payoff in a pick 6 if you're only investing up to like $100. But you don't want to be spending, serious cash in the pick 6 and cash for $2,000-$3,000. I mean, there are better ways to get 5-1 on your cash than having to hit 6 winners. So, this is a race where you could go 2 different directions in terms of strategy. How aggressive do you want to be, and what are you trying to swing for in race number 8? But I think you can make a good case for Stretch Ride, who's run well over this track at 1 1/8 behind Woodcourt last fall. Woodcourt, a pretty decent stakes horse regionally around the Midwest, coming out of a race against Alexander Helos, who came back and won stakes at Oaklawn last time out at Gulfstream for Stretch Ride. I think this horse for Dale Roman certainly could be a factor. And Skinner ran a good race, first time for Cherie DeVoe coming from the John Sheriff's Barn, but then tried tougher company in the Razorback against that aforementioned Alexander Helos. Basically, the Razorback field's coming back in the $1.2 million Oaklawn handicap. Skinner's coming here for an allowance race. So Skinner's definitely going to get a drop in class. It's Jose Ortiz. Again, he could have a massive day. Cherie DeVoe, the trainers had a bad meet just by any standards. I mean, some of her horses have run pretty well. She's only got the one victory, though. And for as much as she was leaned on in a lot of these races by the betting public, she hasn't delivered this meet so far. But Skinner could certainly make some amends in here for $130,000 purse. He's a classy individual. So just a touch, Stretch Ride Skinner to me in race number 8. How aggressive do you want to be in that carryover pick 6? All right, let's go to race number 9. Next up on the card, we hit the Elkhorn Stakes. The Elkhorn Stakes is the second leg of the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. This is a 1.5 miles on the grass in the Elkhorn, and we've had 17 years of the Elkhorn in our database that we have at Keeneland.com, and we go back and check some of the history of this race, and this is a race where favorites have lost 6 in a row and are just 3 for 17. So this is a race where you don't have to settle on the favorite in the Elkhorn Stakes. Don't look for horses up near the pace. The average winner of this race is about 4 lengths back after the opening half mile. And the Gulfstream preppers have won half of these 8 of the 17. So Gulfstream closers, and you don't have to take a short price. That's kind of the trends if you're looking for this race, the Elkhorn Stakes. Okay, let's take a look at the field for the Elkhorn. We've got 13 of them entered in here over the 1.5 mile trip. We've got an also eligible there to the outside in Native Shaman. Balnikoff is one who's won here over the course. He's won the Bryan Station way back when as a 3-year-old. He's now age 6. He's in a tough post position out there, obviously, with a 3-turn race starting out in the 12 post. Could lose ground on the first of 3 turns. That's never an easy task. One horse who doesn't have to worry about the post position is number 1, Rebel Red. This is a horse who was a pretty handy winner here in Allowance Company last fall. It's Jose Ortiz and Cherie DeVoe. They're back again. Maybe they win race 8 with Skinner, and maybe they win here with Rebel Red. I want to get a price on Cherie's horses if we're going to get one of these to pop, and I think we can get a fair number on Rebel Red coming off a 7th place finish last time out at the fairgrounds. But the race that Rebel Red ran here last fall was visually impressive.
And Boyce, then Degree of Risk up on the far outside, who's still in 4th. Cowboy Justice 5th behind Horses. And then Villain, who is running along in 7th. Here comes Freedom Trail with a late run. Boyce is in front. Here comes the favorite, Rebel Red, and it's over. Rebel Red just right on past the leaders. Rebel Red, Jose Ortiz.
If we can get Rebel Red to run that kind of race over 1.5 miles, can be a factor in here, but certainly not a single. I think you've got to look at multiple horses in here. The 4, Verstappen, is one that's Brendan Walsh, as good as his barn is going right now. Verstappen's run some up and down races here at Keeneland over the years, is a winner over the course, but recent efforts are very inconsistent. 11th in the Sycamore Stakes here, then put it together over the winter decently with a couple efforts, and then last time completely laid an egg in the Kentucky Cup Classic. Now you say, well, that was on the synthetic, but this horse has run really well over the years at Turfway on the synthetic. So Verstappen, I don't know where he's at, but most of the Brendan Walsh horses this meet have been pointed towards the top 3. I mean, they are running each and every time out, it seems like. So I wouldn't be surprised if Verstappen's part of this. I thought the 1, 6, 9, 2, and 4 are all usable horses in this particular spot. The 9 missed the cut one also for Cherie DeVoe. She's got the 1 and the 9 in this particular spot. Let's look at the other handicappers and see what they've got here in race number 9, the Elkhorn Stakes. Missed the cut, top choice in here for 3 of the handicappers, Rebel Red for 2. So we've got a full house, 9s over aces, and it's a full house for Cherie DeVoe, 5 of a kind. Everybody's got her on top in this particular spot. I think the race is a little tougher than that, but Rebel Red's going to be one here at 8-1 in the morning line, and I'm hoping we can hold that sort of price with Gabby also picking that one on top. Scott's got him 3rd. Maybe Rebel Red gets bet down a little bit. And again, Jose Ortiz is aboard. If Jose has a big day where it lines up where he might, you know, any jockey who's already got 3 wins on the day, 4 wins on the day, if they get late in the card in these stakes races, they're going to start taking more money than they would have without all those previous victories that everybody's seen. So we'll have to watch the tote board and see what we end up in here. 1, 6, 9, 2, and 4. I think this is a race where you want to spread in the multi-race wagers. Pick 5 through here, pick 4. This is also part of the Keeneland Turf pick 3. So, you get in that Keeneland Turf pick 3. If we're right with Cloudwalker in race number 7, maybe we can spread a little bit here in race number 9. We also have a horse we like in the 11th and final for the Keeneland Turf pick 3. So Rebel Red, top choice for me in race number 9. Let's go next to the 10th race on the card. It's the co-featured race here, the Ben Ally. This is a stakes race for the handicap division, the older horses, Breeders' Cup Classic division, if you will. Don't think any of these horses are headed towards the Breeders' Cup Classic, kind of a second cut, if you will, of horses in that older handicap division. A mile and 3/16, the distance here for the Ben Ally. It's a stakes race that's been 9 years back on the dirt here since Keeneland converted the racetrack back. The last 2 years have been at a mile and 3/16. This will be the third time that we run at a mile and a 16th. The favorites had lost 6 in a row, but Kings Barnes won this race last year, and they're 3 for 9 overall in the 9 years back on the dirt. No big trends to really dig into with this race, and unfortunately, there's not a lot on paper that separates these contenders either. It's a field of 7, and I think they're very, very evenly matched. But you've got Brendan Walsh with the 1 San Siro. And when I made these picks earlier in the week, it was before Walsh even had some of the run that he's had now. So I feel better about this pick in hindsight, coming off the 4th place finish last time out in the New Orleans Classic. That was a pretty good race where Touch Upon a Star, a wind machine from Louisiana, led all the way. Hall of Fame's a really talented horse in there for Steve Asmussen. And then, of course, Sierra Leone was 3rd in his first start of the year. So San Siro to come off a 4th place finish in that race, not maybe as bad as it looks on paper in a 5-horse field, and he gets Edgar Morales, his regular rider, aboard again. Gets to save all the ground here over the mile and 3/16 from the inside. Won't be up near the lead. The lead in here is probably going to the 2, Prince of Power. This horse comes back on 11 days rest, was in the Commonwealth Stakes, made the lead in the Commonwealth going 7/8 of a mile. The 2s go into the front. That's, pretty well known in this particular spot. The 3, Tennessee Lamb, probably sits 2nd, and then San Siro might be able to sit 3rd in here and get a really nice trip. At least that's the hope. And so if Morales can get this horse around with a good trip, save the ground, get a first over run, maybe San Siro can keep that Brendan Walsh run going. That's going to be my top choice in here. 1, 5, and 7. Do I have an extremely confident pick in this race? No. I think this is a race where you can go a lot of different directions, but sometimes you got to single or spread when you're talking about multi-race wagers, and this might be one of those cases because there are some good options in some of the other races. These are not good options to me in the Ben Ally. You're taking horses because you don't like the other one, and that's not a place for me to be jumping in and going 5 and 6 deep. So I'm going to hold my nose. I'm going to hope that we get San Siro to the winner's circle in this particular spot and play some races that we like horses more in terms of finding depth. 1, 5, 7, the way I've got it, you look around, the 7's got a top choice in here. The 1 is top choice for Gabby and I. Tennessee Lamb, the 3's got a top choice. Duke of Love, the 6 is picked on top. 5 handicappers, 4 different horses picked on top. There's only 7 in the race. This is a classic single or spread situation. When you hear that term single or spread, when somebody's talking about a multi-race wager, that means you either use one, or if you don't have one you like, they all look about the same, and you've got to spread and use a bunch of them. The problem with that is when you single, you only multiply the cost of your ticket times 1 for this race. If you spread, you're going to multiply it times as many as 7 if you use all in this particular spot. If you use 3, your ticket's going to cost 3 times as much. So how much more coverage do you really have in any bet, whether it's a pick 3, a pick 4, a pick 5, or a pick 6? You may not be a pick 6 player and say this part of the conversation doesn't interest me. But even if you play a pick 3 or a pick 4, going from 1 horse in a race to 3 horses in a race triples the cost of your ticket because you multiply how many horses you have in each race by $1, and that tells you how much the cost of your ticket will be. So if you go 3 deep in a race, you've now tripled the cost of your ticket. Say it was a $30 ticket. That ticket now costs $90 if you go 3 deep. You've only added 2 horses in the entire sequence. It could be a pick 5, and you've added from 1 horse in this race to 3. So you added 2 horses that have no impact on all of the other races in the sequence. They only have impact on the one that they're running in, and yet it's tripled the cost of your ticket. That's why when you get in these kind of situations where it's single or spread, my recommendation is always to single and go backwards And if you don't like a single and you don't like sequence, you pass on it and you don't play. I'm going to go with San Siro. This would have been a complete pass or have to buy the race for me, if not for Walsh going as well as he's going right now. I like San Siro slightly better than the others. The fact that Walsh is going so well right now and his horses are all running through the bridle puts him up maybe another peg or two higher, and I'm willing to go ahead and take the single in here. So give me San Siro in the Ben Ally Stakes, a pick that I wasn't as confident about 48 hours ago, as I feel better now as watching his horses running so great this week. Okay, let's go to the 11th and final race. We wrap things up. Toyota Super High 5 race going to send us out here. Number 7, Rothschild, top choice in here for Gabby, Tom, and Scott. I've got Rothschild underneath in here, but I'm going with my last key play of the day in here, and that's going to be the 8-horse Then. Then comes in from Gulfstream Park. This is another turf route allowance race. And as we mentioned earlier in the podcast, we've had about 162, 163 of these races, and over 70 of them have been won by horses from Gulfstream. They've got more than 50, 55, 60 wins more than any other circuit in these route races going Turf Allowance Company in the spring at Keeneland. So I start my handicapping. I want to look for the Gulfstream horses as much as I can in these spots. There's a couple in here, the 1, the 3, the 5, the 7, and the 8. So, it's only a little bit less than half of the field. And I start to narrow down from there. Then is my top choice in here. Phil Antonacci has a horse who's already won this meet. I'm trying to think the name of that runner. I had it down here. If you go back and watch the replays, it was last Sunday, 13 colonies. Ran like it was shot out of a cannon. It was a really impressive turf maiden winner. So he brings another one up from Gulfstream. The Barnes only had that starter, and it really ran super. Junior Alvarado, the typical rider for this horse down in Florida, stays aboard. You get the Gulfstream class of these races. I like the 8 then quite a bit in this spot. 7-2 in the morning line. Going to respect the 5 also coming out of Gulfstream for Ian Wilkes, who got off to a fast start at the meet. Hasn't had a ton of starters, but his horses have run pretty well here. And then the 7, Rothschild, who's probably going to be favored in this spot. He also comes off a race at Gulfstream, ran a good second last time out. Jimmy Toner, John Velasquez teaming up there. Second off the layoff for this class horse who was running in some big races last year. Would be no surprise to see the 7 in here, but I like the 8. That Antonacci runner that ran here last weekend kind of really perked my ears up to want to see if he would bring another one here. And this horse is working bullets down at Palm Meadows. So I have nothing to knock on the 5 or the 7 in this particular spot, but I like the 8. I like the 8. Now, if you're talking about singling San Siro in race number 10, then we can use all 3 of these Gulfstream horses, I think, here in the finale in the multi-race wagers. But for me, number 8, then going to be a key play that I use intra-race, and I'm going to try to get to this horse with some doubles, some pick 3s, pick 4s. But again, if you want to use multiple runners in here, certainly the 7 and also the 5 would be horses that you might want to consider. Just a reminder, first post on Saturday, 1 o'clock, 11 race program. Forecast is for another fast and firm day. Temperatures in the upper 70s. Should be a wonderful day for day 12. We look to get back on the plus side of the meet. We slipped under the Mendoza line today with going 1 for 10. So we're about $15 in the hole through the first 11 days now. And that can be made up with 1 6-1 shot. So let's try to pull something out here on Saturday and set up a potential winning meet here going into the final 3 days. Be sure to join me on Tuesday night next when we get together for the Keeneland Look Ahead podcast for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday racing next week. So there'll be no podcast Saturday night because there's no live racing Sunday for the Easter holiday. We get a 3-day break on the podcast. Also, be sure to sign up for my Substack, and you can get updated information sent to your email inbox each racing day for Keeneland. Substack is a free publishing service. Sign up today, jeremyplonk.substack.com, and I'll send you updated information at Keeneland for each racing day after the scratches come out. Tomorrow's will drop in the 11 o'clock hour probably after scratches and changes come out. We'll update all of our picks and get you situated for a big day of racing at Keeneland. Also, you get handicapping information throughout the Kentucky Derby and Triple Crown season with my Countdown to the Crown series that's sent out each week, and also handicapping from around the country year-round, just more than just during the Keeneland meet. So sign up for Substack, jeremyplonk.substack.com. Been a pleasure joining you on this holiday evening. Good Friday wishes to everybody out there. A happy Easter if we don't talk to you between now and Sunday. Again, I'll be back on Tuesday night, so Have a great holiday, everybody. But before then, take down some winners on Saturday at Keeneland.